Hi, it's Mr. Smith, and in this video I'm going to go over the college algebra syllabus. Now this course is linked with DMAT0315, which is considered a developmental level course, all to say that we basically do a review of beginning and intermediate algebra along with college algebra. I'm going to go through the college algebra syllabus, but what you're going to find is all the same information is in both, and so you don't really need to look at both, although you certainly can. So contacting your instructor, it's policy at the college that we get back within 24 hours, and I would just say that I'm normally much faster than that. As far as instructor contact information, my name is Scott Smith. Notice Scott is with one T, and that is actually my nickname, 1T. So you can call me 1T, you can call me Scott, or you can call me Mr. Smith. I'm very flexible about that. If you want to get a hold of me outside of class, you've got my email address here, which goes directly to my phone. You can also call me at my Google Voice number, which or you can text me there. So if you need to have a conversation, that's probably a better way to go. But text or email, either one is fine. My office is located at J127, and I will announce this first week of school what my office hours will be. If you need to get a hold of the division office for some reason, there's the information for that. Let's move on to the next slide. So again, this is college algebra, Math 1314. Our section number is 21102. And you can see we spend just 2 days a week in class, but we're in class a long time. Certification date, that's basically the day that I certify that you're attending the course. I'll talk more about that shortly. Last day to withdraw is November 11th, and I would just say instructors do not drop students. Students are responsible for doing that. If you at some point feel that you need to drop the course this semester, I would encourage you to talk to me, or I'd appreciate it if you could at least let me know if that happens. And also you may want to talk to myself, financial aid people, or Veterans Affairs if you're a veteran, because there may be some things that you need to consider before you drop. Sometimes students will just disappear from the course and they're thinking, oh man, I'm just not going to do this college thing. They come back a couple semesters later, things have changed, and they find they're on probation. So if you withdraw, you just want to make sure that you're doing it the right way. Course prerequisites. So basically you, let's see, I guess I think the way they do it is you're college level ready, but with some deficiencies, and so that's why you're also doing the developmental part. Let's go ahead and move on to the next page. So this is a course description of college algebra here. If you are interested, you can read that. It tells you a little more details about what we're going to be doing. These are the things that we expect you to be able to do after you've gone through this course. Another thing you'll see on, I believe, everybody's syllabi at the college is these Texas core objectives. These are the kinds of things that we want students to pick up, or at least improve in, or prove at in their time at our college. Let's go ahead and move on. So if you haven't seen those, you should look them over at least once. Required course materials. So at Dallas College, we have what's called the Include Ed program, which basically means normally you're getting your book or similar materials along with paying for tuition. And so in our case, we have an e-text or an online textbook with a program called My Math Lab. And we have a certain book that's online, and then there's all sorts of materials that go along with that. And when you do all your assignments, you'll be doing those in My Math Lab, all except for the tests. We'll talk more a little bit more about that in a minute. I do want to say that you do need a TI graphing calculator. Hopefully you have a TI-84 that you've used in the past, or maybe a family member or friend has one. But you're going to want to have one of those. And then I just want to point out there are a few calculators that are not allowed because of what they can do. Let's go ahead and move on to the next page. So obviously, if you're doing a lot of work, all your homework and quizzes in this program, it's very important that you have a computer and reliable internet service. Sometimes students will try to rely just on the school's computers, and I would just say, if you have a lot of time to stay at school, that's great, but it's really great if you have your own, especially on the weekend. I do want to point out, the first time in order to register for my lab math, when you're in eCampus and you click on My Lab Math, then there's several links, and if you click on any of those the first time, you can register, and after that you don't have to worry about it. I'm going to be giving a tour of eCampus and also My Lab Math, so really encourage you to watch that, and it'll help you to see what you need to know and where you're going to be going in those two programs. As far as graded work for college algebra, this is how you're graded. Notice homework is 16%, your quizzes are 8%, tests are 56%, there's 7 of them, so each is 8%, and the final is 20% of your grade. Notice the percentages here are standard, 90 to 100% is A, and so on. Now you'll be getting a grade for both courses. For the DMAT0315, students who finish out the semester will earn the higher of the following two grades. The student's course grade average for work through test 5, including the first 5 test scores, or the final average that you earn for MATH1314 at the end of the course. And notice, if at the end of the course you get a D in MATH1314, then you're automatically going to get a C in the DMAT0315. So I just want to make this comment here. In the past, students would take like a beginning algebra, not all, but many, a beginning algebra class, and then an intermediate algebra class, and then college algebra. So that's 3 semesters worth of courses, and sometimes they would fail one of those courses at least once, so it might take several semesters for students to get through the course. So I want to be careful how I say this. Your goal should be to pass both courses the first time. But if this is your first time taking this class as a co-requisite, just keep in mind the greatest goal, I should say the first goal should be to at least make sure you pass the DMAT0315 part. And if you come up short on the college algebra course, then at least the next time you just have to take college algebra. You don't have to do the 2 courses again. Obviously, you always want to get through the 2 courses the first time, but it's very possible if you don't make it through the first time that in 2 semesters you will have met your college algebra requirement. I'm not saying it's easy, but I've seen many people do that. All right, let's look at the description of the graded work. So I want to focus on the homework. So it says here, homework will be assigned in My Lab Math to practice the material learned in each section of the textbook. A great feature of My Lab Math is that you get immediate feedback for each problem. You're going to know if you're doing it right or wrong. If you get a wrong answer, you're going to have access to a bunch of help things, such as videos, help me solve this problem, or you can see an example. So you can send an email to me and ask a question from the homework. So there's a lot of ways that you can get that corrected. On the other hand, I want to point out something very important here. I highly recommend that you work out all your assignments on paper in a notebook of some sort, because that way later on when you take a quiz or you take a test, you have something to look back on. And as you're doing those assignments, if it were me, I would be making notes of problems that I kind of struggled with, or things that I want to make sure I'm prepared for on the test. And so if you're doing that, writing things out that way, it's going to make a real difference for you. It's also helpful in learning to write things out. All right, so that's my recommendation to you. As far as quizzes are concerned, I think those are great as far as they help you to kind of get a picture of where you're at. You're usually going to cover, maybe 3 sections, and so and you're taking it. It's timed, and if you're able to do that without looking at your notes or anything, then that's telling you basically that you're ready for the test. If you're struggling with the quizzes, then that means you're going to have to put some more work in before you take your test. Now, the other thing I would just say is you can certainly use your notes on the quizzes. You just want to be careful, because when you get to the time where you're taking your test, you've got to be able to do problems without looking at notes. There are 7 tests in this course. Actually, this is a mistake. It's not 15% each, it's actually 8%. And it's a total of 56%. You know what? I have my percentages wrong here. This is the regular college algebra course. So homework, we said, was 16%. Quizzes are 8%. Test was 56%. And then the final is 20%. And the thing I want you to notice here is if your homework average at the end of the semester is at least 80%, your score on the final may be used to replace your lowest test score. The only one you can't use it for is for test 7. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. You are going to have an opportunity to earn extra credit on the test. Notice it says for each test there'll be an opportunity to earn a maximum of 5 extra credit points on the test by completing the review in MyLab Math prior to taking the test. So there's a test review for each test in MyLab Math, and that's how you can earn those points. So if you get 90 to 100% on the review, you're going to get 5 bonus points, and it just works down from there. So I would highly encourage you to do those. We'll also do some review to prepare you for the test in class, but this is how you can earn some extra points and get some really good practice before you take your test. And as of right now, we'll be taking tests in class, but that's something I want to work on and hopefully free up some time by taking tests in the testing center, but I'll let you know about that. Late homework. So homework quizzes and test reviews are due as indicated on the course calendar and in MyLab Math. It's very important that the assignments are completed on time. In fact, if you were to say to me, Mr. Smith, what do I need to do to be successful in this course? That's it right there. That's the starting point. Do your assignments on time. And I know this is hard. There's a lot of work to be done to get that done. Especially, you're going to see the first 2 weeks we're covering 2 chapters. So I never said it was easy, but it's certainly the key if you're going to be successful. Late work will be credited as indicated in MyLab Math. There's going to be certain situations where you can do the work late. As long as it's done before the test, I'll give you full credit. But there's going to be other times where if you don't get the work done on time, you would get half credit. So whatever you see in my math lab is what you're going to have. As you're doing the homework, you'll be able to tell when you're taking or doing the homework. As far as tests are concerned, normally students aren't going to be allowed to take a test late. If you miss a test for some reason, we're going to have them in class, or we may schedule them in the tutor or in the testing center. It's so important that you contact me immediately. And this is because of special circumstances. Just having a rough week, that's not an excuse for not being prepared. Or at the very least, you would want to talk to me before the test and not afterwards. So I'm a flexible person, I'm reasonable, but at the same time, it's so important that you're taking the test on time because we're moving into the next set of material, and every week, there's a lot to do. All right. Instructor-student communication. Really important. Of course, I'll see you in class, but especially at the start of the semester and throughout the semester, I'm going to make announcements in eCampus. And when I do that, you should get an email at your school email address. If you're not getting that, that's a problem. Not just in my class, but in all your classes. And so you want to make sure that if you're not getting those, that you get some help from IT with that. The other thing I would encourage you to do is, if you have a smartphone, make it so that all your emails are coming directly to your smartphone. You can get email from 2 or 3 accounts, or even more, I believe. But all to say, they can help you IT can help you set that up if you need help. So make sure you ask your questions, especially about the syllabus and about getting started. We want you to get off to a good start. I talked about how you can get a hold of me earlier. I do want to say I have a lot of courses this semester, so if you could just tell me which section and which course you're in, that'll help me out. This is MATH1314 Section 21, 102. Attendance and participation. So in order to be certified as attending this course, you must attend class at least once the first 2 weeks and enroll in MyLab Math. And I have to say, that's a real minimum. By the way, if you're not certified, that is likely to affect any kind of financial aid that you're getting. But again, keep in mind, this is a real minimum requirement. In fact, we're doing the first 2 chapters by September 5th in terms of homework. And you need to shoot for 70% on that at the very least. But I would really encourage you to get at least an 80% on all the homework, the homework in particular. Remember, that's going to enable you to be able to drop your lowest, or not drop, but replace your lowest test score at the end of the course. All right, let's move on. Institutional policies. If you haven't read this before, you should look at it at least once. It talks about things like tutoring, disability services, dropping classes, and so on. And so just click on the link there and see what's in there. I just want to say we've seen a lot of things over the last couple of years, and I always reserve the right to make adjustments to the syllabus and the schedule depending on the course needs and circumstances. Any changes will be announced in class and in eCampus. All right, so last thing I want to look at is our schedule. So you have a course schedule. I'd encourage you to print it out. You'll notice on the left side it tells you what things need to get done this week, and on the right side it tells you the due date. It looks like I need to make an adjustment here. So you can see these first 2 weeks we're getting Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 done, and I want to point out in the second, actually that's all I need to say there. So it's a lot to do. I just want to say I kind of front-loaded the course. It's better to go through a lot more sections earlier on when we're doing review topics than later on when we're in the real core things of college algebra. So I know it's a lot to do these first couple of weeks, but again, it's a lot of review, or it's supposed to be. And anyway, so just want to prepare you to, it's going to be really important to get off to a good start. All right, so, and by the way, you can see our first test is in the third week on Wednesday, September 8th. All right, so that's all I have to say about the syllabus. If you have any questions, please get in touch with me either in class, or you can ask your question in class, or just send me an email or get a hold of me, and I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions. That's it.